Hi, Joe Kehrig with the Kehrig Real Estate Team, and this is your San Ramon Valley update. And what we're going to talk about today is sellers' expectations in this new market that we have compared to reality. And you know, when you see it, it goes back. I have agents all the time coming to me and saying, oh boy, you know, I have to talk to these agents like 10 times. People are coming back to look at it 3 or 4 times. A deal's falling through, and I'm sitting there going, that's the real estate business. The problem is a lot of real estate agents have lived in just Disneyland the last 5 years. It's going through the entire transaction, being an asset and a resource, understanding that you have to get through the hurdles. Well, sellers are doing the same thing. Sellers are thinking, do you know, and I'm going to show you a stat that you won't believe about how many sellers actually think they're going to get asking price or above and how much really do. So what we're going to talk about is in this market, price it right or be ready to adjust. Realtor.com says, despite the economic headwinds whipped up by the ongoing Iran conflict and cooling consumer sentiment, most home sellers are brimming with optimism this spring and expect their properties to fetch top dollar. Look at this stat, 80%, over 80% of home sellers think they're going to get more than asking, which is 37%, and over 46% think they'll get their asking price. But what's reality? Reality is when you look at the next slide, 62% of homes are selling for less than asking price. And remember I talked about this is like the last normal market, 2018 and 19. Look back to 2018 and 19. That's the last time that we were in the 60% of homes selling for less than asking price. Obviously 2021, 2022, most homes sold for over asking price. But so what we're really in is people talk about it's a new normal. No, it's really the normal that goes back to 2018 and 19. So where's the disconnect? A lot of times the disconnect is real estate agents not willing to basically talk to sellers and have them understand what the market's all about. That's why I do these videos, to educate the consumer out there, because there is a disconnect when you have over 80% of the sellers thinking that they're going to get asking price or more, and 62% are only 38% actually get asking price or more. Look at this quote. The listing price is one of the first details potential buyers notice when they're browsing properties. A well-priced home can generate more interest and increase showings. On the other hand, if a home is priced too high compared to similar properties in the area, it may struggle to attract buyers and remain on the market longer. That's exactly what happens. I will have sellers sometimes sit there and say, if I'm saying that, hey, it should be priced at 1.9 million, and they say, well, we want to go 2.1, they can always make an offer. What sellers don't understand is there could be a home out there for 1.9 million that's firm, that won't budge at all off their price. And there could be one at 2.1 million that he would take under 1.9. You could actually get a better buy on the 2.1 than the 1.9. But you have to understand the buyer's first impression when they go out there is this property's $200,000 or more, because they don't know what a seller will take. So you have to have transparent pricing. If you feel it's worth 1.9, that's where you have to come in at, or maybe even a little bit lower. Because here's the thing, when you look at the stats in the San Ramon Valley, the homes that are selling are still selling for about 100% of asking price, but they're selling within a few weeks. The homes that basically are not selling are staying on the market 30, 60, 90 days, and those are the homes that are basically continuing to lower their price, chasing the market as the market softens. And it will continue to soften a little bit more because we have more inventory coming on the market. Look at the sellers who overprice are having to adjust, as we talked about. 2026, over 16% of the listings in April had price reductions, and in some areas it's even more. And price gets bigger as listings linger. So remember we talked, if it doesn't sell in the first 2 or 3 weeks, chances are it's going to be 2 months. And look what happens, as the longer a home's on the market, the more it has to reduce. You have a home that's on the market 3 to 4 months, and it's going to drop between 10 to 15%. If you would have started at 10 to 15% lower in the beginning, you probably would have sold in the first couple weeks and sold for asking price instead of chasing the market. So how's our market doing? It's kind of all over the board a little bit, but it's actually doing pretty good. Remember we talked about if you have 25 to 33% pendings compared to actives, that's basically a normal market. If you have 50% pendings or more to actives, and that's probably a seller's market. Less than 25%, and that's definitely a buyer's market. So we're brimming. You can see the San Ramon listings actually went down 151 compared to 63. So, where does that sit us? That sit us right. It's about a normal market. Danville's kind of the same, except look at Danville. Danville listings jumped up from 144 to 170, and pending stayed about the same. So you know what? Right now, Danville's teetering on basically a seller's market going to a buyer's market. Alamo's actually staying pretty strong. You see 16 pendings, 33 listings, still a strong market. Alamo's being carried from basically Round Hill and West Side. I mean, when you put something on the market around Round Hill or West Side, it's selling. Everyone wants to live in Alamo, because obviously the bigger lots, access to the trail on West Side, same thing with West Side Danville. So that market is still really strong. You can see Dublin, 182 listings and only 46 pendings. That now is definitely a buyer's market. But you can see that the homes that are selling are still selling for around 100% of asking. Now you see Alamo, I just told you Alamo was a strong market, right? But yet it's only 96% of asking price. Well, what happened in Alamo would throw things off because there was only 4 closings. And as I mentioned to you, one listing can throw things off. Well, there was a $23 million listing that actually went pending for millions less. And even though everything else sold at asking price or above, it basically kind of weighed the market. If you took that one listing out, Alamo would also be around 100% of asking. And also when you look at the time on the market, Alamo's like that listing that was $23 million was on the market for 800 and some odd days. So over 2 years. So obviously, taking that one listing out and everything would have probably sold for asking price within a couple weeks in Alamo too. But, as we see when we go through San Ramon, Danville, Alamo, Dublin, everywhere you go, the market's a little bit different. And even each neighborhood, West Side compared to East Side, is different. If you really want to get an idea, even if you're not thinking about selling, but just want to get a pulse on the market, we can even sign you up for what we have HomeBot, which will give you automated information, all the analytics, basically telling you what your home's worth and how it's changing and what equity you have and what you could do with that equity. So just drop me a line, give me a call at my personal cell, 925-487-6838, or drop me an email, joe@kehrigteam.com. If you want to learn a little bit more about the Kehrig team, then visit our website, www.kehrigteam.com. So as you can see, it's a very fluid market, and we're going to see a lot of changes going on. We have the new Fed chair in, but you know what? Interest rates actually went up a little bit. As I talked about a couple weeks ago, it's really not the Fed chair. It's inflation, it's the T-bill, and everything that's running through it, and that's what we're looking at. Obviously with the spend up on the war, inflation's coming in, so don't expect interest rates to do a whole lot except stay between that 6.25, 6.5 mark for the rest of the year, at least through the next 4 or 5 quarters. So again, give me a call if I can help you in any way. Stay tuned. We'll see you next week.